hello. Am I live? Am I here? I think I'm good. It's always nice. Nice to see. Anyone in here? Whoop, whoop. Wide receiver stream today, going through the first position group, and then I'll get to every single one. Just start with the receivers because there is so many, a ridiculous amount of really good receivers. What's up, Jason? How you doing? Just gonna go through a lot of them. I mean, I have notes on at least 20 guys here. Gonna talk about, at least for a little bit, talk about guys that are like really good fits for the Dolphins. Plus, it's just this draft class in general is absolutely ridiculous, and I like talking the draft, so it's always a good time. Also, yeah, I just posted my Xavier Legette video if people want to watch that. I had to record it twice, and I had to like re-edit it and re-upload it because it got copyrighted. So always fun. That's the YouTube fun, but definitely not complaining because it's very, very easy overall. Started streaming a bit earlier today, but once people get in here, we'll start going through the list. I can pull up some clips on a couple guys as well. Probably do that more for guys that I think maybe be good fits, or just, you know, not the top guys maybe people aren't as aware of. Let me see. Hello. I probably should like fucking put this out somewhere else, but just let me go to my channel. Oh, yep, there's the video cannot be monetized thing because I am copyrighted. Here. Don't make me listen to myself. How you guys doing? Who's in? Is anyone else in here? Still just see Jason. I can't. I don't have the thumbnail for this one. Okay. I'll just tweet this one out. Share. X. Okay, so I mean, I guess maybe I should start talking about the top guys because most people are already aware of them, but I'll just get, you know, quick notes on them. I mean, obviously the top 3 are probably all going to go top 10. Not too much to say here. You know, you probably, if you've been following the draft, you definitely heard of, you know, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze. I would have it in that order as well, 1, 2, 3. I think after that is where it kind of gets a little interesting and it can go in a lot of different directions. But yeah, Harrison Jr. just doesn't really have any weaknesses. I mean, he doesn't have like high-end elite explosiveness, but it's all good enough. And the body control, contested catchability, nuanced route running, it's all there. Everything you can look for. Contested catch, control, great adjustments. Absolutely ridiculous. And the reason I have like, I think Harrison Jr. is like 1A and then 1B would be Neighbors for me because Neighbors has like, he just has like the rare trait. Like if you have like, so a lot of people have like rare traits and Neighbors has like this rare acceleration that's just absolutely special. That guy is ridiculous. Like his ability to lull DBs to sleep and then accelerate away and pull away from them is really, really special. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Yeah, that's why he's my wide receiver too. And just talking, you know, we'll talk about the Dolphins for a second here. There's like a few different ways I could see that like they might not like just they only have a first and second round pick to begin with, so they might not even end up going receiver, which is, you know, unfortunate. I really do hope they go receiver at some point because this class is so good. It's just when you only have like if they traded back and ended up getting like a 3rd or 4th, I would hope they would go with a receiver in those rounds because this class is ridiculous. And there's so many different archetypes of receivers that like you can get anything you want. You want guys that can just fit into the offense perfectly, kind of give you what Tyreek and Waddle give. There's guys like that you can get. You want to get just completely different types of receivers. You can get those guys. You want to get guys who kind of are a blend of both, like the complement. They can complement, but also fit well within the scheme, like Xavier Legette, Malachi Corley, those guys I think could fit in well. I think guys who would be interesting to see because I think they would be pretty good complements, but also different types of receivers than we usually are, like Javon Baker, Jalen Polk, Ricky Pearsall. As I'll talk about those guys too, because this class is ridiculous and should be pretty fun. Definitely, it's because maybe I don't know. We're just chilling right now. Don't think too many people are in here. Let me grab my laptop real quick. I'm gonna get up and grab that. Sorry. Just got to close something up real quick. Is anyone in here in the chat? I mean, you guys can let me know. We're just vibing right now. We're just chilling. Definitely talk about receivers in a second. If anyone has any questions, I can definitely answer those for sure. Probably should have, waited a little bit to go live, but it's cool. Don't worry about it. Just trying to post this one thing real quick on my YouTube. Bro, I wasn't expecting this. I was picturing you to be a geeky, white, blue eyes, blonde haired kid. I mean, you're not that far off. I mean, I have green eyes, not blue eyes. And I'm kind of geeky, I'll be honest. I know it's the voice. And I'm not quite blonde, but I used to be blonde when I was growing up. Now it's like a light brown. Hold on, I'm trying to post this thing real quick so people can see this. Out. You break down the top. Okay, cool. Sent that out. Hopefully people see that. Okay. How did I become a Finns fan? I just didn't I was always a big college football fan, so I grew up in Southern California and I was a USC fan. So I was a huge fan of Reggie Bush. And then I never really had an NFL team until I was like 12. And that's when Reggie Bush ended up on the Dolphins, and I just decided I'm going to follow the Dolphins and became super obsessed, and it hasn't changed ever since. So definitely still supporting the Finns. Let's see. I have notes on all these people. I'm trying to let's see if we can pull something up right here. I got boom. Let's pull this up. Let's pull. Okay. Cool. Show this play real quick. This is Ricky Pearsall right here in the slot. I really like this rep. I just wanted to show this. Look at the tracking on this play. Absolutely ridiculous over the shoulder. I mean, I like he's communicating with the receiver pre-snap. He does a good job with the pace, the tempo. When you mix up your tempo like this, you don't just run at one speed the whole time. It makes it a lot harder for DBs to, really match you. So he does a good job of tempo and then accelerate, and then has the speed to pull away, and then the tracking and ball skills, absolutely ridiculous. Wow. Don't think I can show too much of this, but you'll see it from this angle too. Over the shoulder like that, that's pretty special. I think Pearsall would be an interesting option for the Dolphins in the second round. Definitely someone I would be keeping an eye on. Okay, let's see. I'm going to start just going down the line on the list I have here. So Brian Thomas Jr. After the top three, Brian Thomas Jr. I think, he'll probably be a first-round receiver. Looking at his strengths, elite deep threat. He has that elite vertical speed combined with his tracking ability, which is very important. He's a bigger body guy, which always helps on those vertical planes, but he's really where he shines. He has that catch radius, explodes past people, accelerate, get on top of them, stack. He can also make some contested contested catches when he doesn't pull away. But yeah, that's definitely something where he really can shine. And then weaknesses. He is a little more raw when it comes to like the full route tree. I think it's like in his like movement skills with the ball in his hands are a little more inconsistent. Like I really trust his movement skills when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. That's something to always keep it. Like sometimes people have better movement skills when they don't have the ball. Sometimes they're better with movement skills with the ball in their hands. And I think that's somewhere where he could definitely improve. It's just be like inconsistent, like his anticipation, all of that. And then beating press man to man. That's another weakness of his. But he really just has like that special like combination of size and speed. It makes him like a great vertical threat. Definitely an interesting option. And I think one of the top guys for sure after like the top three, because I feel like the top three of Harrison, Neighbors, and Odunze is pretty much set in stone. Pull this over. Okay. Who's next? Lad McConkey, one of my favorites. I actually have McConkey as in my top 5 receivers. I know that's not what everyone would have, but people might not agree with that. But I just think he's so good all around. Like his releases off the line, explosive, really has a plan. He's a manipulative route runner. Like he knows how to use his pace, his tempo, attack leverage to get DBs to open up their hips. He's really good. Like leverage is such an important part of playing position, and knowing how to just change up your slight angles, your body, language, things like that, and that really can get DBs. And then, just natural separator, good with the ball in his hands, makes some big plays in those areas, so pretty good. Yak also can align inside outside. Versatility is really good. And he's a double move merchant, bro. Like he runs a double move. He's absolutely blowing by people. He's one of the best double move route runners in the league. Your breakdown top, thanks for all you do. Hey, appreciate that. Hooked up Joe. Appreciate that. Weaknesses. I would say if he has weaknesses, I think his consistency at the catch point can be a little off. I like sometimes his tracking's good. Sometimes it seems like he can be a little bit off. Gets wide with his hands, and then he's he's not like the biggest guy either. Like, but he's not your typical like white receiver either. Like a lot of people try to compare him to like other white receivers, but I don't know if there is that type of comparison in the NFL right now. He's more of a guy that can line up on the outside and work vertically compared to where a lot of them are like more slot guys. Okay. Then we're going Xavier Worthy, the 4-2-1 guy. I like Xavier Worthy. I don't think the Dolphins should go in that direction, especially because he'll most likely be a first-round pick. But I do like him as a player. He's got some very strong strengths, but his weaknesses are definitely something to take notice. Obviously, top-tier speed, but he has more of the speed, which is important. That he is a pretty good route runner. Like he knows how to set things up, and he has other really good athletic traits. Like he has great change of direction. He can decelerate on a dime, things like that. It's always very important. I think his tracking's pretty good, but he does like down the field, which is big for if you're going to be a vertical speed threat, you got to be able to track the football in, where you're not going to be effective at the NFL level. Returnability is obviously there. The only problem is I think he has inconsistent hands. Like he has a lot of drop issues. So he tracks the ball in well and like sees it where it's going to go, but he doesn't always come down with it. He has a really small frame, so he can struggle with physicality. Like you get hands on him, he doesn't have the play strength to make up for it. Like if you look at someone like Devontae Smith, like he had a really slight frame, but he had really good play strength for his size, which is something that always, helps those guys out. But for Worthy, I don't think that's like where he's going to shine. Like if he ever has to get the physicality, but he's definitely a guy like if you need speed out there, like he's got it, and he'll be one of those speed guys that I think actually translates pretty well to the next level, not one that's going to fail for sure. Like he's got other athletic traits that definitely help him out. Troy Franklin. I think Franklin's one of the more boom or bust receivers. I could see him being really good because he has like some of the traits I really value in a receiver, but then some other traits that I also really value are like his biggest weaknesses. So like his movement skills, really, really good. Like dynamic mover. And he'd align in multiple different spots, and like he gets in and out of his breaks really fast, changes direction. He anticipates well and yak, and has the long speed to combine with it, all with like pretty good route running skills. And he's also pretty smart, like finding soft spots versus zone, and he just like gets his into his routes really fast. And I do think, even though he has a thin frame, I do think he plays with some nice toughness, which is helpful. But I do think once he gets down the field, which is important, because he's definitely a deep threat, but he doesn't track the ball super well. His ball skills are a little lacking. Like, he looks uncomfortable at the catch point. A lot of times he has to slow down. You could even saw that at the combine when he was running those the drills where he had to catch. He would slow down at the catch point. He's not a natural hands catcher, which is unfortunate. And then that thin frame, even though he'll try to play physical at times, play pretty tough, he doesn't have great play strength, which is definitely. Reggie Bush was a stud. That was one of my favorite players to watch for a very, very long time. Let's see, who did I just do? Troy Funkin? Let's get in to Coleman, Keon Coleman. I'm not as high on him as some people. Like, some people see him as like a first round guy. I think he's more of a second round guy. Like, I really like separators. He's not the biggest separator, doesn't have great long speed. I like more athletic guys, but he is a really good player at the catch point. Like, you have to be, if you're going to be this big body guy that's not super, quick, get out of your breaks type of guy, you got to be able to make plays at the catch point. And he has some of the best ball skills, tracking, catch radius in the class. So if you need that type of player, he gets that done. And he's also pretty, I think he's a better athlete on the field than he tested for sure, but he is also pretty decent with the ball in his hands. I think that's where his athleticism can show off for sure. But yeah, at the catch point, makes some insane catches, super strong hands, amazing ball skills. But yeah, definitely one guy that I think is a little more boom or bust. Like, him and Troy Franklin could be that way. Xavier Legette, good Miami fit. Just made a video on him. Hopefully people will see that. Like, the size, speed combo, athletic, physical traits, standout, contact balance, play strength, yards after the catch. I mean, it's all ridiculous at his size. He was a slightly better route runner than I expected. I do think he still needs to work on that. Like, he still needs some nuance in his route sem and release package. But those are kind of only like his weak points right now. Like, he's also like, he makes a lot of plays at the catch point. A lot of things that, you got to be able to do at his size for Xavier Legette. Because, I mean, you'll see the video. If you go watch the video, I literally just posted it. It will definitely go on like a full-on breakdown to Legette, because he's a guy I'm a fan of. Next up, I'll just say Mitchell, AD Mitchell from Texas. A guy I'm a little more mixed on. I'm not the highest on him, because he has like for Mitchell, he has really strong strengths. Like, he has some really strong strengths, but his weaknesses are really concerning to me as well. Like, for his size, like, he's really smooth, really good route runner, great body control at the catch point. But really suck to take a receiver and find Ezukama is the only guy we need. Yeah, I mean, Ezukama can definitely step up and fill into that role. That's why I don't think it's like they don't absolutely need to take a receiver in the first 2 rounds. I just think with this draft class, there's a chance with like how stacked it is that the Dolphins end up going receiver pretty early, because it could just be the best player available on the board. So I wouldn't be too mad, but I do think like if Ezukama works out, that would be best case scenario. But I do love this draft class. But Mitchell is one of the guys I wouldn't take personally for the Dolphins. Like, his weaknesses, he doesn't have great yak, which is super important in the Fins offense. He's like one of the most limited yak guys. They also look for pretty good blockers, which he doesn't give much in the blocking game either. But the biggest thing is he just takes plays off. He's not a high effort player. Like, if he's not getting targeted, if he thinks he's like getting taken away, the coverage is good against his route, he just gives up on his route, which is a huge issue. But like, he's super talented in other areas with like really smooth move, or like the ability to create separation, his body control at the catch point, like things, a lot of successful receivers in the NFL have. Like, he's really good at that. But I just don't see I would just let someone else take the chance on that type of player. Those are the ones that concern me a little bit. Easy is what we need, bro. I do agree they need an Easy E type skill set for sure. I don't know how serious his injury was, but they were trying to get him involved. Thank you for all you do. I like Xavier Worthy. I like Xavier Worthy too. I just don't know if the Dolphins are going to go that route. We have to replace Tyreek soon anyway. Yeah, I think I've kind of looked at it this way. Like, if they do need to replace Tyreek, Waddle is the Tyreek replacement. Now, do you try to replace Waddle with another type of Waddle, which would be Xavier Worthy, or another type of Tyreek type player? Or do you go for like the different route, get someone who complements the offense? It still fits within the scheme, like Xavier Leggett. He fits within the scheme, but also is a different type of player and give also other, strengths to the system and be a little more unique. Because Waddle and Hill are like pretty much clones of each other, but they're two of the best at that type of thing. I just don't know if you're going to find other players who are to that level of Waddle and Tyreek. Easy E neck injury. Yeah, I know it was a neck injury. I just don't know how like serious it was. So hopefully it wasn't too serious because he didn't play the whole season, which at least tells me at least it was at least semi-serious. What are you saying at the end of your videos? I don't know, man. I just literally I'm just speaking gibberish at the end. That's just how I end the videos, just saying random stuff. Let's see, Ricky Persall. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if people saw this, so I'll show it again. We'll start talking about Persall, but I'll show this clip real quick. Ricky Persall in the slot right here. Just the tracking ability. His ball skills are super impressive. Also pretty good route here too. Love the pace, the tempo manipulation to pull away there. And then just the tracking ball skills over the shoulder. He also has a really good athlete, like acceleration, speed to pull away at the last minute. But over the shoulder like that, that's super impressive to me. Like that's definitely something that I really value and think not a lot of receivers have is that type of tracking ability. That's I think an underrated trait for receivers. Unfortunately, I can see where they go to the Chiefs with their first pick, especially going on with Rice right now. Yeah, I think Worthy's definitely an option for the Chiefs. I think, dude, this receiver class is so good. Receivers could end up anywhere. That's why I would not be mad if the Dolphins end up taking a receiver. I just think I would rather either trade back in the first, pick up like a third, go receiver in the third. But if not, going receiver in the second, I don't think is a bad idea for them because there's going to be a lot of guys there like Persall, Roman Wilson, both other receivers from Washington, Polk and McMillan. Then Corley as well. Then there's other guys you can get like the third and fourth, like Baker, Jamari Thrash. I'm going to talk about Cowing, Malik Washington, Anaya Smith, who I think is a good scheme fit, who might be there in the fifth when the Dolphins pick, which would be another play. This O needs to Waddle and Worley for the future. That makes you different. I enjoy the exits. You have a great voice for play-by-play. You'd be the first to say that. But I appreciate it. Let's talk a little more about Persall. I have the notes on him right here. Body control to make some crazy plays. I mean, you guys have probably seen that one catch where he gets absolutely destroyed over the middle, one-hand snag. He's also a very smart player. Overall athleticism is pretty good. Speed, combination of quickness, change direction. Obviously, his overall route running is pretty solid. Not like elite or anything, but I do think it's definitely good enough. Weaknesses, I wish, he was a little better working through contact. I think he get a little knocked off balance at times. And I think as a vertical threat, it's nothing special. Roman Wilson. Wilson is someone I think would fit in well in the Dolphins offense. I just think I'd probably go another direction, someone who complements Hill and Waddle a little bit more. Instead of like Roman Wilson is kind of in that same kind of play style. He's not to that same level of explosiveness as them too, but kind of goes into the same play style. This receiver class is so deep, I don't mind waiting until round 5. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you get like an Anaya Smith in round 5, who I'll talk about him right now, actually. He's from Texas A&M, so I've watched a lot of Anaya Smith because I watched him last year when they drafted Achane. So I'm assuming the Dolphins have watched him. I think they met with him as well. I think he's a type of player. He's played running back and the slot receiver for Texas A&M in the past. He's more of a receiver, but he's like dynamic, versatile, really good like flexion in the lower half to change directions. He's got even good some vision like out of the backfield. Like, so if you want to use him as like a gadget type player, explosive, like change direction, make people miss out in space. He's pretty small, but I think he plays pretty big for his size, like at least like with the ball in his hands. At the catch point, he can be a little bit limited because of that size, lack of the catch radius, more of a slot only type. You're not gonna see him on the outside. And then I didn't see him too much versus press, which was another thing. Which you don't see a ton of press against slot receivers in college. So that was one area I also still have question marks. We need size, make it easier into it. That's why, honestly, right now, I think my favorite like target for the Dolphins for the offense is Leggett, because I think Leggett still gives you that speed value that the Dolphins clearly have put a lot of value into, but also gives you that size and I think he just kind of fits in. He's kind of like an in between of a DK Metcalf and a Debo Samuel. Like he's like that skill set. Like he's a combination of those two. Like I'm not saying he's that level of player. He could be, but I'm saying like he kind of has an in between of that skill set, and he's dominant at the catch point, very very fast, but also really hard to bring down, which I think would be super valuable at the receiver position because the Dolphins don't really have that at the receiver, like where they can drag and carry a defender for a few yards, go out there, bully someone. It's a good idea, no casually. Try to play play but Madden games. I could do that. I mean, I just haven't played Madden in a long time. I mean, I do play games. Maybe with the NCAA game when that comes out, because I used to play that game a lot when I was a kid, and it hasn't been around for a long time. Anai Smith on day 3. Yep. Roman Wilson, interesting for sure. We'll talk about him. I think Roman Wilson is a pretty good comp to Tyler Lockett. I think they're actually very similar. Like just thinking like size wise, not the biggest. And you think those guys would be like limited to the slot. I actually think they can play a little bit on the outside because they have the speed too. Like I think Roman Wilson has the speed. He has the inside outside versatility, body control. He's a pretty nuanced route runner too. Like he has like this subtleness to create separation, especially using physicality, which is cool because he'll like lean into DBs, create late separation, which is he does the little things right. And then he's just strong at the catch point, tough, which is always good. I think when a smaller-ish receiver is strong at the catch point, those guys tend to translate well to the next level because usually when they don't work out, it's because they can't make plays at the catch point. And I do like him as a slot, a little bit on the outside. I think the biggest is usually when you're smaller, they're usually pretty good after the catch. I don't see as much after. That's why I compare him to Lockett because Lockett's really good down the field, but not great after the catch. I don't think Roman Wilson's yak is as great as I would like it to be. And then, he just didn't get a ton of production because of that Michigan offense. They never threw the ball. But I do like Roman Wilson a lot. Jonathan Twiller, do you think Malik Washington will last until the 5th? I don't think he should. I love Malik Washington. Malik Washington was one of my favorite players in this class, period. If I had to guess, he goes in the 4th. Sometimes those smaller receivers fall. And I do think, considering this class is really good, but there is a chance, but I would say more than likely not. If teams let him fall, they would be crazy because Malik Washington has a really, really good film. Really good film. I have water right here. Now you do play-by-play commentary? Do people do that on streams? They just do play-by-plays instead of playing the game? Interesting. We need a receiver who can play a slot and outside more than anything, more fluidity. Yeah, I definitely like players that have the flexibility, which is honestly a lot of players in this class are pretty good inside out. Like I think McConkey can play inside out. Worthy can play inside out. I think Franklin can play inside out. Leggett can be a big slot type, but definitely is more of an outside guy. I think Purcell and Roman Wilson are both slot inside out guy who can also play outside. Next we got Jermaine Byrd from Alabama. I really like his film, but I think there's some off-field issues there that I definitely have a concern. Who would you compare Jacob Cowing to? Oh, I like Cowing a lot too. Cowing, Malik Washington, and Anai Smith are 3 of my favorite undersized kind of players. But Cowing, he kind of gives me Tank Dell vibes. Who was a rookie last year from Houston, who's also on the Texans. So maybe they're both pretty undersized, shifty, quick twitch slot types that can do damage after the catch and also run good routes. I think Cowing's slightly stronger as a player, but Dell's probably a little more explosive. But I think it's a pretty fair comparison. But Burton. I think Burton's a really good player on film. His film was super, super good. I just have questions with off the field stuff. That's why I wouldn't touch him. Usually when it comes to those players, this class is so good, I'd rather just take a player who doesn't have the off the field issues instead of taking a chance on a guy like Bird and let someone else take that chance. But he does have really good ability to play all 3 levels. He separates, he runs quality routes, solid hands. He does the micro movements really well, before and after the catch of the subtle little things you dip with your shoulder. But yeah, sorry, I was reading the chat. Okay, yeah, off field is worrisome. Play strength, I think, is another weakness. I don't think it's the greatest play strength, but yeah, off field is why I wouldn't end up touching Jermaine Burton. Sorry, just ideas for different content for in case you want to switch it up. Don't tell you what to do. Just ideas. Oh no, no, thanks for that ideas. I love hearing all the ideas in the chat. I might do some stuff, playing more game or playing the games, commentating, things like that. Yeah, Tyreek's off-field stuff is enough. True. It's just the off-field stuff is always annoying, like especially because some of it's like really, really bad, and I don't want those guys on the team to begin with, anyways. Jalen Polk, really like Jalen Polk. I think he's like a different type of player. He would bring. I feel like he would be an interesting number 3 for the Dolphins because he's like completely different from Hill and Waddle, but I think could also fit in pretty well because like he's got really good hands. Like he's a nuanced player. Like you see him track the ball down the field. He always shows late hands. He does like the little things correct, like late hands, so the DBs can't make a play on it. He's a dog, absolute dog mentality. Tracks it in, great at catch point, like makes physical catches all the time. Body control, super competitive. I wish he was a little more explosive, like within his routes and with the ball in his hands. But I think he's a decent enough athlete combined with all the other like good things, strengths that I talked about with him being like a dog, nuanced, that I think he's a solid second round option in this draft. Same with his teammates from Washington, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan. Jalen spelled much differently for both. But I did a video on McMillan not too long ago either, just a few days ago. But I'm a huge fan of McMillan. He's another guy that I definitely like. That I think can play inside outside. McMillan played more of a slot actually at Washington, but I do think he can. I think his skill set, like his combination of athleticism, I think he understands how to get open on a vertical plane that he can also play on the outside. Really good route tempo. Like his tempo in his routes is really good, combined with his footwork, attacking leverage. That he understands like how to create separation just with within your stem of the route. Yeah, I think he can play more outside on the next level. Pretty good after the catch, like with quickness, competitive, tracks the ball well. He doesn't have a ton of weaknesses. He doesn't have a ton of experience versus press. I think like play strength wise, it's not the best. Like he can get knocked off balance if he gets rerouted. Like he does play tough over the middle, but he doesn't have the greatest play strength and really only played slot for Washington. But I think if you watch that video, you can see some of the stuff I broke down. He can definitely make some big plays down the field. We're talking about guys I really like right now. I really like Jalen Polk, really like Jalen McMillan. Javon Baker, another one that I really like, who's another like probably day 2 option. I've even seen like him get pushed to like the 4th round. And if he goes 4th round, he's a super underrated 4th round player. Like a lot of stuff he did at UCF like was on a vertical plane. I think he can even do more than that at the next level. Like there's certain plays like he would have absolutely disgusting routes. Maybe I can see if I can find that. But like he's really, really fun to watch. He's got really good body control as well. I'm looking up a play. I'm kind of distracted, but let me see if I can find it. 1 second. Okay. But yeah, let me just talk about everything else. Really strong hands, like acrobatic, makes insane plays at the catch point, good adjustments in the air. He shows flashes, like when because most of the stuff he just does on a vertical plane, so you don't get to see him like always like get in out of his breaks, stuff like that. But like when he does, there's like flashes of like super violent twitch within his routes to like get in and out of breaks, which is super fun. I think weaknesses, he can be a little inconsistent at times versus press. So yeah, I think that's something he can work on. And then sometimes when he needs to stack vertically, I think he could stack vertically a little bit better. Like sometimes he tries to go for the highlight reel type of catch. But there's definitely a lot to like within his game. But yeah, so many plays where he just makes insane plays at the catch point. His body control is ridiculous. I mean, we can look at this play real quick, but like look at this. That body control is absolutely ridiculous. And to get the feet in bounds too, like super, super impressed with his body control, his ball skills. You should not be able to move your body like that within the air either. Like that stuff from Javon Baker always is super impressive from him. But yeah. Who's next on the list? Oh yeah, Tez Walker from North Carolina. not my favorite player in this class. Probably one I wouldn't end up taking. I can see the reason why people would like him, but for me, I just feel like he's a little one-dimensional. Like he's really good on a vertical plane. Like he's a really good vertical threat, but I think that's kind of all Walker gives from what I've seen. Like he excels on the deep balls. He can stack. He knows how to like set it up, and he really does a good job of gliding and stacking and tracking. But for me, when that's really all I saw him excel at on the field. One-dimensional. Hands were inconsistent. I'm pretty sure he was at the Senior Bowl and he had like a really hard time catching the ball, and that also showed up on the film. And then overall route running, because he lacks like the limited tree. I think he's just like a deep threat, and he could make his money there at the next level. But personally, I'm looking for a guy who's a little bit more than just a deep threat, because I think there's other guys in this class that are also good deep threats, but also offer value in other facets of the game. That's disgusting. Yeah, that Baker play was ridiculous, bro. That guy makes some insane plays at the catch point. His body control is ridiculous. One of my favorite players. Really like. I mean, just going down this list, I really like McConkey. I really like Leggett as players. Not even just saying as Dolphins fits. I just really like them as players. Also good Dolphins fits. I really like Persall and Roman Wilson as players as well. Maybe not the best Dolphins fits, but also I think could be pretty good there. Burns a good player. Wouldn't touch him because of the off-field stuff. I really like Polk, McMillan, and Baker. I'm not as high on like Walker, Keon Mitchell, AD Mitchell, or I said Keon Mitchell, Keon Coleman, and AD Mitchell. I'm not as high on those guys. Like I think they still have value, but I wouldn't take them in the first round. And Tez Walker, I wouldn't take in the second either, because I know he's seen as like a second round guy. Jamari Thrash from Louisville, another guy who's super interesting to me, because he's a really good route runner. Like, and I've seen him not mock too high either. Like you usually see him go in like the third or fourth round, which does make sense because his class is so good. But I feel like he's a really well-rounded player. He's my type of receiver. Twitched up route runner, super smooth. Like within, his route stem, gets into his breaks super fast. Like literally stops on a dime. Explosive after the catch as well too, which is always a combo I love. Guys who can run routes and are really good after the catch. And he's explosive, makes guys miss. You do the best breakdowns on players week to week all year long. Appreciate that, Z Harkness. But yeah, smooth mover, tracks the ball well down the field. High IQ player, like he knows where to be, ends up in the right spots, doesn't waste any time either. I think he shows versatility to play inside outside too, because he's kind of like he's not the biggest guy, but I think he can, because like he has a limited catch radius, which I think kind of hurts him on a vertical plane at times. And he's not the greatest in contested areas, but he's a good job at separating, which helps him. And overall, his speed is pretty good. Not elite, but pretty good, which definitely helps. All info, no gimmicks. Keep it coming. Appreciate that. I just like to, talk ball. Have some fun too, which is, always a good thing, but not trying to do all the random stuff you'll see in some videos. But a lot of people are really good at this. Malachi Corley. Another guy that I think other than Leggett, he's probably the best fit for the Dolphins, like just skill set wise. He fits in perfectly to that scheme. And like, because of his strongest traits, like his speed, his ability after the catch, but his ability after the catch is a little bit different than guys like Tyreek and Waddle. Like he'll make people miss too, but his contact balance and play strength is so good. Like that guy is powerful, just runs people over, breaks tackles like it's nothing. He also makes tough catches, which is nice. He can make some tough catches down the field. Can we please get a future video on Chop Robinson? Yeah, I think I got clips on Chop, so I'll probably do a video of Chop closer to the draft, because I want to do like some All-22 videos, but I'm going to wait to do those till it's closer to the draft just in case of copyright and stuff like that. But yeah, so, and Chop, I'm a little mixed on Chop because he's an amazing athlete. Like his bend and explosiveness is ridiculous, like absolutely insane what Chop Robinson done, but he's super raw as a pass rusher, man. Like I would love to see more pass rushing moves. Any thoughts on wide receiver who maybe you do plays like Bub Means? I haven't watched Bub Means. I have watched Jordan Whittington. He's pretty interesting, like from Texas, as like a slot guy, pretty strong after the catch. He just feels like one of those guys who would make a team because he's just tough as nails, has a dog mentality, really tough to bring down. So yeah, he's a guy you get in, as like a UDFA. I would be all over Whittington. He definitely has some translatable traits for sure. Yeah, to finish up on Corley, we talked about his strengths, just like the physicality. Yeah, Chop a little stiff, but for sure explosive. Well, he's so explosive, man, but he just doesn't have a plan out there, which is rough. Who needs wide receiver with bigger catches? Yeah, I mean, he's really never had that. Like, that's why I kind of want like a guy like Leggett. I want someone who's a little stronger at the catch point. Like, they still fit within the offense. Like, they're fast. They get yards after catch. But they can also make some tough catches because Waddle and Tyreek, great receivers, but that's not their biggest strengths. So that's why, I'm definitely looking for some bigger body guys, but still fit within the system, which I think Leggett is that perfect guy. I don't know if there's some other big body guys, but I don't think they fit the scheme. Like Mitchell is a bigger body guy who makes tough catches, but I don't think he fits the scheme because he doesn't really offer too much after the catch. Let's see. Orly. He has just a limited route tree, and I feel like his quickness in and out of breaks could be a lot better. That's something. Brendan Rice, I don't have any notes on him right now, but I'm not a huge fan. I think he's a smart player, physical, really good at the catch point, but I like guys who can separate and show some level of athleticism. How do you feel about Coleman? Yeah, I talked about Coleman a little bit earlier. He is a guy I'm not as high on as others. Like, I think some people have him as like a first round guy. I think he's a second round guy, so I still think he's good. It's just I like guys who are a little more explosive, have a little more separation ability. That's just it's just my personal preference when it comes to receivers. But I do think he's probably the best receiver in this class when it comes to making plays at the catch point, which I don't think can go understated. Like he ends up in the right situation. I think he can be still really solid at the next level. His catch points, tracking, catch radius in contested areas, really, really good. Let's see. Jacob Cowing. I talked a little bit about Cowing earlier, but twitchy athlete, good route runner. I think Cowing was the first player I made a film breakdown on this draft time, this go around. Elusive after the catch, he's smart, knows where to be, pretty versatile as like a gadget usage type player. Like you feel like you get him like on jet sweeps, reverses, things like that, but also can still run routes from the slot. Jalen Coker is my favorite, if any chance. Yeah, I've seen some clips from him from Holy Cross. Unfortunately, I don't have like the full on film, so I don't have like any like strong takes on Coker yet. But he is a really good like jump ball, body control type player. But I don't know. I haven't seen the whole film, so it's hard to say. Xavier Weaver is a hidden Dolphins gem. Is Weaver from Colorado, right? I think I've watched him play live, but I don't think I've seen his film yet. But yeah, Cowing, he's just a smaller guy, so he's limited catch radius. Sometimes can struggle playing through contact, which is another thing. Malik Washington, so good. He's ridiculous, bro. Such a good athlete. Toughness with the ball in his hands, can run routes. His body control and ball skills. When a smaller receiver has really good ball skills and body control and like can go up and get it, I feel like those guys always translate well to the next level because they have the typical small receiver stuff where they can move, they're explosive, change direction, they know how to run routes. Usually that's what you get with smaller guys. But when they can also make tough plays at the catch point, that's super helpful. Like he does have a limited catch radius due to his size, but he will make some tough catches, which I do feel like if you have a 4th round pick, Malik Washington, you get him in the 4th round and you're happy as you could be. Let's see. I talked a little bit about Nia Smith earlier as well. Would love him as a fit for the Dolphins in like the 5th round. I like him as that gadget type as well, explosive, change direction. His usage would be super fun in the Dolphins offense, so I wouldn't be against that. I don't know about Bub Means. I haven't watched Bub Means yet to know. I've only seen like a little bit. Chop is definitely raw, but just turned 21. Yeah, I like Chop. I've seen the film, and it's just he wouldn't be my first option at 21. So that's the only thing. Like I do think he's raw. I think against the run, he actually held up better against the run than I thought. But I would like to see him be a little. I didn't think he processed like run concepts that well. Like if he had to like read blocks, I didn't think he processed that well. But he did held up better at the point of attack than I thought he would. Yeah, bro. That 42.5 vertical jump shows up on the film. That guy lies. He goes up and gets it, which helps so much for a guy of his size. Yeah, I talked about Nia Smith earlier. Brendan Rice, I talked about. He's going to get drafted higher than he should because he's Jerry Rice's son, but he's not terrible. He has some good things to look for, but he doesn't have the separation skills. He lacks explosiveness and the change of direction that I like. Luke McCaffrey is interesting, actually. A really tough, smart player, brother of Christian McCaffrey. Really good balls. He's just really good at the catch point. Like, I think he hasn't played receiver for that long, so I think his route running could improve. There's some good. He shows some flashes of good route running, but I think his like toughness, plays at the catch point, tough catches, really smart, finds soft spots, really good. Not as explosive as you'd want, so I think he's more of a slot at the next level. But I do think if you get Luke McCaffrey late in the draft, you feel pretty good about that. Some other guys, I'm going to make a video on Casey Washington. He's from Illinois receiver. I think he's pretty underrated in this class. I'll talk about him a lot in that video, so I'll probably wait to talk about him, but I think that's a name to know. I feel like he's a pretty interesting player. I haven't done enough on Anthony Gold yet either to know, but or you'd say another smaller, quick, speed type receiver. And Jaquan Jackson, a guy from Tulane, I believe. Another guy who's really good, explosive after the catch, kind of a return guy. These are all the type of guys you're going to see later on, though, that I would definitely be interested in. Offensive line is at the point where if Graham Barton is gone at 21, I'm okay with taking a different position. Yeah, I mean, I'm still okay with taking O-line, D-line, edge, and receiver at 21, to be honest. Just depending on who's there. I mean, those are positions I would look for the most at 21. Other positions I don't think are going to be in consideration right now. It really just comes down to who ends up being the best player available. But I've kind of gone over it in my head and like looked at different mocks and like thought who people would take, and like just there's usually ends up being at least one good offensive lineman there, but is it my favorite guy? Doesn't always end up being the case. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of guys to like in this class. Oh my God. Okay, but yeah. Yeah, that was pretty much all the receivers I had notes on to talk about. I talked about a lot of them. Is there any questions people have about this receiver class? Or just about the draft in general? I'm always down to talk, just NFL draft. I'm going to try to get through every position group. What receivers would we be happy with at 21? Honestly, at 21, like, obviously, I think the top three guys will be gone. Harrison Jr., Neighbors, Odunze. I think Brian Thomas Jr. would be a good receiver at 21. I think he's worth the value, and I think he'd be an interesting fit within the Dolphins scheme. I don't know if I would take any other receivers at 21. Like, I would, if they traded back a little bit and took like McConkey or Xavier Leggett, if they traded back, I would be down for that. And I wouldn't be mad if they took those guys at 21. I just don't think they will. I think there will be other people available at other positions that are better value. I feel like Brian Thomas Jr. is kind of the only one in that kind of range who kind of fits that draft value compared to other positions, at least. Like, if Latu is there, I'm all for it. Yeah, Latu is my favorite edge, my number one edge in this class, personally. Really reminds me of Jalen Phillips, to be honest. But really, really advanced for pass rusher. That's what I really like guys for. Yeah, I'm going to check out a lot of these like later round guys that I haven't seen yet. I've seen a decent amount of them. Sometimes it's hard to always find film on them. Yeah, Jalen Polk. I would be down for Jalen Polk in round 2. He's one of my favorite receivers in this class. Like, really strong at the catch point. I feel like he would complement what the Dolphins have pretty nicely. Also, have you watched Mason McCormick? Yes, I have. I got clips on him the other day, so I will be making a video on him pretty soon. I think he would be he's an intriguing option at guard on day 2. Really fun to watch, actually. So you'll see my full thoughts on him. I can only do so many guys with the draft being like 24-ish days away. I'll be trying to get out a video pretty much every day, doing streams probably, every week, maybe a few times a week, just to really get into the thing of the draft. And I might live stream the actual draft. Like, not like I can't play the draft, but like I'll live stream my reaction to it. So as the draft's going on, I can give my thoughts on players that are going and things like that. We can just talk the draft, have some fun. What's up, Terry? But yeah. Some other receivers. Do you have a guy for film or do you use Caddy? I use Caddy. I used to have, like, I can't really say anything, but let's just say I used to have pretty much all the film, but right now I don't. But yeah, I use Caddy for most of all 22. Plus, I just find other clips throughout the internet sometimes. But yeah, I use Caddy for pretty much to watch all the games and watch film. If I need clips, you can find them in other ways. But yeah, that's pretty much all the receivers that I had listed down. I know there's some other guys. Like there's the other Michigan receiver, Cornelius Johnson, I believe. I didn't take notes on him, but I watched a little bit, and he was just a size speed guy, but pretty raw in other areas. Thoughts on Tyrese Knight? I've only seen one game of his, so I don't have like full on thoughts yet as a player. But I thought he was like more of an athlete than a guy that's like really a football player at linebacker position. I feel like he could process a little bit better. But he's not a bad guy to take as like a late round option. In case I missed it, who do you want at 21? Like as a receiver or just like overall? Because if you're talking receiver, I don't know if receiver would be my first option at 21. I think I would consider guys in a trade back. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is probably the only one worth 21 at the pick, but I would go in other directions. Let's say Fatanu. Troy Fatanu would be my number one option in this draft, but I don't think he's going to be there. So then I would probably go into the range of like either Newton, Illinois D tackle, Graham Barden, and then probably Latu from UCLA edge. Yeah, and I would consider other offensive linemen. Like I think JC, I'm going to do offensive linemen next, like tackles next. So we'll talk about like JC Latham, who I think could play guard for the Dolphins. He would be intriguing to take as like a tackle that could play guard first year. Some other guys that could also play tackle that I think could be guards at the next level are like Jordan Morgan from Arizona. Intriguing guys that I think the Dolphins actually have a chance of getting. Morgan might be more of like a early round 2 guy though. But yeah, I think offensive line, you're looking at Fatanu, he's there, probably not going to be there. So like Graham Barden, JC Latham. D tackle, you're looking at Newton, in my opinion. Murphy would not be a bad pick either, but I would take Newton over Murphy. And then edge, I think they could go Latu. I also think they would be interested in Chop, but I would go Latu over Chop. And I think it, like, out of those guys I named, like, I've done, like, you know, kind of done the math. I think at least one of those guys will be there at 21, potentially multiple. And if none of them are there, that means someone fell that you weren't expecting. So that can always be fun. But yeah, that's kind of all the receivers I want to talk about. Got through, like, let's see, who did I talk about? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Damn. Talked about 25 receivers that I had notes on here, so that's pretty good. Can only watch so many. Like, I have way more notes on receivers than any other position because there's so many good ones. Are you excited if Johnny Newton's there? Yeah, I think Newton's really good. And I'm watching his film, and apparently he was injured playing through the games that I'm watching, and he was still ridiculous. This draft's going to be bonkers. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm excited to live stream the draft, just see what people's thoughts are, and hopefully they draft someone good so I don't have to just be pissed off when they draft someone I don't like. What do you think of Sweat in the second round? I like Sweat in the second round. If you want like a big body nose type, I would not be mad about that, especially in the second, if that's where they wanted to go. But I don't think I would take him earlier than 55. But yeah, if they got him at 55, that's definitely not a bad pick. Like, he is an absolute behemoth at the point of attack. That guy is, you can't move him. And I think he'd be a pretty good complement to Sealer as well. And would probably fit the scheme pretty well. Draft will be crazy. I love the draft, man. This time of the year is so much fun. It really is. Let's see. Who else do I have notes on right now? I have notes on a few tackles. Ooh. Wait, did I just move myself? I have notes on some tackles. I have notes on a couple other players at different positions. I'm trying to just get like my notes written down. Like, I've seen a lot of players, but I didn't take notes on everyone. But now I'm kind of like starting to take notes on everyone that I've seen. And then I'll have it up. It's definitely a lot of players I like. I can list some of my guys, actually. I have that written down. Like, my guys at different positions. Like, I really like Cowing and Malik Washington. I really like those small, shifty receivers. Really fun to watch. McConkey is one of my favorite players to watch in this class. Ben Sinnott at tight end is probably my favorite tight end in this class. I mean, Bowers is the best tight end, but Sinnott was probably my favorite as of like Oh, I didn't expect him to be this good, and he's been really fun to watch. Patanu, my favorite offensive lineman to watch. Trade up for McCarthy. No, thank you. Brandon Dorless is one of my favorite like tweener defensive linemen to watch that can play interior and edge. Super fun. Guys like McMillan. Oh, Mikey Sainristil from Michigan. Really fun deep defensive back. Those are some of my guys. I have some other guys listed here that some safeties I'm going to get to soon are Cole Bishop from Utah and Taylor Demerson from Texas Tech. Guys I really like that I think are guys can play deep and nickel, which would be interesting options on day 2. That's the direction I wanted to go. We can't afford to trade for anybody. Yeah, I'm not trading up in this draft. If they traded up, the only trade up I'd be like, okay, they traded up like say Brock Bowers fell and they traded up a few spots for Brock Bowers, I wouldn't be mad. But I don't see us trading up, to be honest. We just don't have the capital. And there's other guys that I'm definitely fans of, but I will be getting to those in later streams once we like really dig into that. Is there anything else? What else happened? Like anything Miami Dolphins related happened recently? Mikey Raya. Oh, I mean, Mostert got extended. He got like a nice little extension. Got an extra year. Got a little pay raise, I believe, which is good for him. I mean, he deserved it. I'm not mad about it. It's nothing too crazy to the cap space, and he was breaking some records out there. So happy for Mostert. I think a lot of people wanted to add to the running back position. Dolphins still could add to it, but I think you might see more of that as like a UDFA ad, and sometimes those UDFAs make it, like Chris Brooks last year. So. That'll be interesting. When was the last time I just actually picked someone you expected? I would say last year, A-Chan. I was guaranteed it was A-Chan in the 3rd round. If you're saying with one like Cam Smith, I didn't expect though at all. Let's see. I'm trying to think of the drafts. 2019 was Wilkins, right? I expected Wilkins to be drafted. 2020, I was expected to be drafted. I expected Jackson to be drafted. I did not expect Igbenogany to be drafted. That was a huge surprise. 2021, Waddle was pretty expected. I feel like that was pretty heavily rumored, so it wasn't a surprise. And then, what else? They drafted Phillips in the 1st round as well. That one kind of surprised me. I really liked Phillips. He was my favorite edge, but that one surprised me a little bit. And then the other drafts, 2022, 2023, they didn't have 1st-round picks. So finally, we have a 1st-round pick again. I was really sad we didn't keep Elijah Higgins. Yeah, I would have liked to keep Elijah Higgins around. I feel like we should have. They should have just cut like Croft at the time. So I don't know why they did that. But yeah, I think we're gonna be good for now. Thank you guys for watching. Do another stream next time, which is pretty low key this time. But yeah.